Matthew 5:32, it says, if you divorce and you remarry, it's adultery. And there's an exception clause. Jesus was saying in the exception clause that if a man marries a divorced woman, for example, it's an invalid marriage, he can divorce that and he can go marry somebody else because he was never actually married. Why is it that the exception clause could not be for adultery? Number one, if that's true, then the verses would be saying that a man could divorce a woman for infidelity, but the woman couldn't divorce the man for infidelity. The second reason is that Matthew 19:8, Jesus specifically rejected divorce for adultery. In Matthew 19:8, Jesus said Moses' allowance for divorce, which is for adultery, was for your hard-heartedness. The Mosaic allowance for divorce was for adultery because you can look at Deuteronomy 24, verse 1, you can look at Jeremiah 3, you can look, these were Hillel Pharisees, and in the Talmud, they talked about how Moses commanded divorce for adultery, and if you look at it in the context of Matthew 19:7 and 8, it's very clear that's what the Pharisees were talking about, divorcing for adultery, and Jesus rejects divorcing for adultery. The third reason, it's an irrational rule. So a man could divorce his wife for cheating, but he couldn't divorce his wife if she killed their infant. It doesn't make any sense. The fourth reason is the Schrodinger's marriage problem. Husband and wife are married. Let's say the wife cheats and then they both remarry. His remarriage is not adultery under this theory. If she remarries, her remarriage is adultery. Adultery against who? Well, Mark 10, verse 10 and 11, that tells us it's adultery against the other spouse. If her remarriage is adultery, that means she's still married to her first husband. But if his remarriage is not adultery, then that means he is not married to her still. They're married and not married at the same time, which is Schrodinger's marriage. The fifth reason why adultery cannot be what the exception clause is referring to, Jesus is building an argument. Read Matthew chapter 19, verses 3 through 8. Ask yourself, is there an exception coming? There is not. To have a conclusion where there's an exception doesn't make any sense. If a man marries a divorced woman, like I said, he can divorce her and then he can remarry because he was never actually married.